Hello, fellow subscribers. Today's video, which I will try to keep short, is one of a series of other videos about global tyranny being on the rise. Today we will talk briefly about the real agenda behind beach closures. In Matthew chapter 24, verse 4, Jesus, the first thing that he tells his apostles to do is to beware of deception. And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. Indeed, Jesus speaks of deception 4 times in this chapter. It will be one of the predominant hallmarks in the last days. So Jesus told them, Take heed that no man deceive you. We have been deceived about COVID-19. We have been lied. The figures have been overinflated. Those are fraudulent figures. I am a doctor myself. I've been a doctor for over 20 years. And the workload, rather than increasing, has decreased dramatically. Indeed, the incidence of upper respiratory tract infections has gone way, way down. That's because of the lack of socializing imposed by this lockdown and also school closures. Other doctors are also speaking out. I believe the day before yesterday, Dr. Andrew Kaufman, which I will write it down below in the description box for you to look him up. I strongly urge you to listen to his interview on the London Real platform by host Brian Rose. He spoke about various aspects of this engineered pandemic and how the figures are being manipulated. He also compared the all-time mortality between the months of January and April 2020 to the previous 3 years, that is the year 2017, year 2018 and year 2019, and he found that the all-cause mortality between the months of January and April, if anything, this year, 2020, were 6% less. 6% less. Mortalities came to 94% compared to the previous 3 years. So there were less deaths, not more. So where are they pumping up these figures? Everything is being labeled as COVID-19 death. If you have a heart attack and you happen to go to casualty, they say, well, he might have contracted COVID-19 since he came to hospital, and you are labeled as a COVID-19 death rather than a myocardial infarction. If you have a severe traffic accident and you happen to die in hospital, they will say, well, you were near COVID-19 patient, so most likely you were a COVID-19. It was a COVID-19 death. And this goes on and on and on. So if anything, as I told you, the all-cause mortality for the past 4 months has been 6% lower when compared to the same months in the previous 3 years. This is a huge deception, and many people are falling into it, and the end game is the vaccine. That will be another video in itself. So today we're going to talk about the real agenda behind beach closures. And here locally, local councils, 6 local councils, are lobbying to have beaches closed to stop the supposed coronavirus spread. There are fines imposed where groups of 4 or more people are being are gathering in public, but they are proposing that the bays in these islands in the Mediterranean that they are closed. Now, the real agenda behind this is the Wildland Access Project of the United Nations. We are being denied access globally to such wildlands. We are being denied access to beaches and coastal areas globally. We will be prohibited from going to such places. You may ask, why? Of all the places, coastlands and beaches. There are two reasons, all right? One of them is that the sea produces negative ions. And one of the predominant negative ion is iodine. And it's a known fact that when you walk by the seaside or you live in a coastal area, the air is rich in iodine and your thyroid functions better because your thyroid needs iodine. Indeed, it's been said that if you go for a walk on the coast, you would have had your daily dose of iodine, and that would be sufficient for the day for your thyroid. Also, these negative ions in the air facilitate clear thinking. They facilitate clear, critical thinking. Inland, the benefit of negative ions is virtually non-existent, so people are more mind-controlled. Another major thing is that the towers that produce non-ionizing radiation, those that produce millimeter waves, and the word I cannot utter here because it will be, in tandem, it will be linked to that virus which I mentioned, and it will be banned, this video. That technology which we are talking about, which is the number of fingers which I have on one hand, and the first letter of the word girl. All right, you know what I'm talking about. That technology, those towers are normally built inland, and they are concentrated in cities and urban areas. So they want you to stay inland, so you can be controlled by this technology of millimeter waves. Another reason that these towers are not deployed, that they are not erected at coastlines, is that there is a lot of interference from the sea and such ions, negative ions, that interact negatively with this technology. So it is to your benefit that you spend as much time in the coastal areas near the sea, away from these towers that produce non-ionizing radiation, away from the millimeter waves, to be less mind-controlled. Please understand what is happening. This has nothing to do with the pandemic. God bless you all.